Hey Aries, welcome to your weekly Sidereal Astrology forecast. This is for June 27th through the 3rd of July, 2016. I'm Athen, and this is for Sidereal Astrology. If you are new to the channel, be sure to check out the link down below because the signs are different. All right, so Aries, this week we have your ruler Mars going station direct, which seems like it's been a while. But the past few months, if you've been more internalized, more reflective, more thinking about who you are and where you're putting your energy, all that starts to shift here. Now it's subtle. It takes time for Mars to gain his momentum, and you'll feel that as you go into July. But there is this shift, and I think the shift will be around Wednesday. And it could be particularly regarding relationships, because Mars has been retrograde in your 7th house, particularly the past month of that retrograde. So if you've been reflecting on relationships, maybe mutuality, harmony, mutual respect, that kind of a thing, and even a relationship in particular or something like that, some of you even legal matters, business or contracts, that all starts to shift. And what's shifting, I think, is a new motivation about relationships, a new motivation about these things. And that can be a great source of momentum and a great source of energy for you going into July. So definitely that shift there, and it's a shift both in your interpersonal relationships and with yourself, since it is, of course, your ruler. So continuing with relationships, though, we do have Venus forming a couple aspects here this week. Here on Monday, she's going to be trining up to Neptune. So this could be easy going with your relationships on a Monday, which could be quite nice. And then here around this Thursday, Friday time, Venus is going to be opposing up to Pluto, who's been trining up to Jupiter. So with this, balance is key. And I think with Venus in your 3rd house, if there's been more of the communicative thing going on in relationships, more about exchanging ideas or the importance of communication. The key here is, I think, open-mindedness with Pluto and Sagittarius in your 9th house. This open-mindedness, compassion, understanding, and really at the end of the day with Pluto, acceptance. And that helps keeps everything nice and balanced with those relationships. And I think what you'll find too is that it could even be, in that way, it could be very intimate and very deep with those connections, which can then again be inspiring perhaps for you to express yourself, which has been Jupiter in that 5th house. All right, so that's the relationship side of things. Now in terms of your work this week, most of this is going to be seen by Mercury. Mercury is shifting into Gemini here around Wednesday as well. So this shift is that maybe things around the work sector have been a bit more slow and steady. It's been Mercury in Taurus. Maybe more about finances or the values, that kind of thing. But now Mercury is going into his fellow sign of Gemini. So you'll probably find that on the work sphere, maybe there's easier correspondence. Maybe you're more mentally active with it. Maybe it's a bit busier. But it should, I think, you'll probably find that shift the second half of the week, maybe where things are loosening up a little bit and becoming a bit easier to express in that work sector. Now, one thing I want to say too is on Monday, Mercury will be squaring up to Chiron. So if on that day in particular, if you're feeling any types of wounds or inhibitions about the work, this is about doing that inner acceptance, which is that inner wound, accepting that wound, which then really results in that healing with that. Now, in terms of your career with the big picture, this is Saturn, who rules your 10th house, and he's been still retrograde in your 8th house. So still good to be reflecting on those big picture career things up and through August, maybe rehashing, and I think reflecting particularly on where you can have more of this openness, more of this depth, more of this intimacy perhaps in your life. And that could be particularly in your career life as well, building things and building your career based on what really matters. But no major aspects with Saturn this week. Now in terms of finances, this is also seen by Venus. So on Monday, could be easy going again, maybe some flow with the financial material stuff on some level. But then this Thursday, Friday time, this balance again. And I think the balance will be here about an openness to see things, to maybe make some changes there with your perspective. And again, open-mindedness can be very helpful with that. All right, so that's the week in terms of those key areas. The overview in terms of what we haven't covered is that Chiron is going retrograde here on Monday. And this is Chiron in your 12th house of spirituality. So if you've been feeling this year, there's this new healing taking place with your connection to your spiritual self or to God or to that present moment. And now with Chiron retrograde, there's this shift where you can reflect on this a bit and consider the importance of that faith, of that acceptance in your life, which then does lead to that healing energy. So that's pretty much it. There's that Monday energy. Then as we go into Wednesday, that's when you're going to feel that shift with your ruler Mars, that forward moving energy going into July. And then over the weekend, we do have the Sun trining up to Neptune. And so this could be easy going with your self-expression, perhaps, and a bit of that flow. Maybe to do some of that reading and writing, which can be very enjoyable at the moment with all this third house energy. In fact, very early on Monday next week, you're going to have a new moon here in the third house of Gemini. So it's going to be new beginnings with your perspective, new beginnings in terms of your understanding about communication and your unique form of intelligence, using the mind and, again, enjoying perhaps some of this exchanging or intellectual pursuits. All right, so Aries, I hope you guys have a fantastic week. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next week.